Hey guys, this is Lil with another raid video. Today, after much testing yesterday, I thought, and it seems like seeing loads of videos popping up on Eostrid builds. So I thought I would share mine with you. I spent a lot of yesterday rebuilding champs because it's the free gear removal. So I thought we'd go through where I was looking at other people's videos, what my thoughts were, what I landed on, and then I spent loads of time yesterday just in the background running Hydra with different teams to see how she performed, and really happy. So let's go over and take a look at her to start with. Okay, so as lots of people might know, because I did like the showcase on Shamrock, and Nubs and I were joking about it when he was looking at my Hydra teams. Increase and decrease speed have always been like a real problem on my account, which has never had great champs for it. So I went in on for the Eostrid. I thought she looked great when she came up as a fusion. You know, she's also bringing what's often missing is like that weaken, where if you're running an Ugo, then you know you've got the decreased defense, but you miss out on the weaken, so it fits in really well there. She's also got the turn meter boost. And then she's got some healing in her kit as well. So the A1 is not doing anything for us in Hydra. But as has come out recently, and shout out to finalKenpachi, and I'm sorry if I've pronounced that wrong, man. He did a really great video showcasing her. He put her in like a crazy lethal build. I'll link his channel down in the description. He put her in a lethal build, and suddenly she was doing like over 1 million damage with her A1. So actually the multipliers on this A1 are really good. I think the A2 less so, but yeah, the A1 certainly seems to smack. Now, where I want to use her is Brutal Hydra. So all the sort of, a lot of the showcases I've seen recently have been in hard, you know, where she's hitting for that 1 million damage. Spoiler alert, she's not hitting for 1 million damage in my run, but I'm running her in Brutal, which is where she fits into sort of my roster. So, obviously, her kit is increased speed and increased attack, which are always, you know, amazing to have in Hydra. We're talking all Hydra today because I think that's where she's most useful. If you want to run her in the arena, then just build her super fast. And then she does a turn meter fill. She then gets an extra turn and brings in the decreased speed and the weaken. And then, yeah, just the A1. And her passive is heals people based on whenever they get a turn meter fill, and it's got a 1 turn. So, you know, you want her fast to try and cycle that around as quick as you can. I went for the 5-star soul on her. I also then went cruelty. I would say there's an argument if you're going for a damage build on her, there's an argument to make for Heaven Cast. When I counted up the sort of team that I would run her in, it would have been about 4 buffs that she'd have most of the time. So that would be, you know, that would be 6% damage. I kind of felt like, do you know what? I don't have any other cruelty in the team, so her being able to stack this up, you know, to 15% on the boss is probably better for my overall damage than a 6% increase on her damage. But I thought about testing it out, and then when I sat down and sort of went, nah, 6% is probably not worth it, because otherwise I've hardly got anyone with cruelty in the team. So, let's talk. So obviously there's been a few different sort of builds that people have looked at. Now, what I would have liked would be to go protection on her, 9-piece protection. Unfortunately, we've been crashing Hydra Clash for several weeks at this point, and I don't think I have any protection artifacts for Sylvan Watchers. I might have one. Yeah, I've got a neck. I've got a crit damage neck, and I've got another attack neck. So it's going to be a while before I get her in 9-piece protection. So then I was looking at, okay, look, I would say the next best for her would be Cursed or Provoke. But I didn't know what team I was going to use her in because, excuse me, my teams are all a little bit flux at the moment because I'm still figuring out what my highest damage nightmare team's going to be. So I didn't know what team I was going to run her in, and if I would need somebody in Cursed set or somebody in Provoke set. If you've got a really reliable Provoker, you don't need that and you can bring something else. So then I started to think, okay, well, what's good general? What can you not go wrong with? Relentless, Reflex, And actually what I landed on was, do you know what? I'll put her in Merciless. I'll put her in Merciless and we'll give her a little bit of damage, you know, put her in some crit rate gloves, an attack percent chest and a crit damage amulet. And then great, we'll get a little bit of damage out of her. And, you know, I was like, I'll go for the 4-piece Merciless, yeah, for the 30% chance to reset a cooldown, because I can get one of those on the amulet, because I knew I had a crit damage amulet that was just going spare. So I was like, great, I can use that, and then I can use, you know, a 3-piece here, and then get, you know, something else going on. But then when I got to 4-piece, it was like, well, if you had, you know, if you had 2 more, then actually you've suddenly got her in the lethal and the savage. So that's what I did, and I ended up... So yesterday I had to regear several champs, because there were several in line before her to get Merciless. So yesterday I regeared my Mishinaki, who it turned out when I actually looked at him had like 87% crit rate. So I've obviously stolen some gear off him at some point, totally forgotten, and he's just been running like that for who knows how long. Everyone in Discord was having a good laugh at me yesterday at the horrendous Mishinaki build. So I rebuilt some so that she wasn't using my best Merciless gear, because that's not what I want. What I wanted was, I want to throw her in like my lower tier Merciless gear. Frankly, I've got plenty of Merciless gear knocking around. My nukers are in a really good place in their builds, so actually I've got quite a bit, and this is what I've got after gearing 3 champs in Merciless yesterday. So, you know, I was like, I'm kind of happy. Okay, we'll get as much damage as we can on her. So I went 6-piece, because that way you're getting the cooldown refresh and you're getting lethal. So I'm like, that's great, that's worth it. It was 1-piece more than putting her in 4-piece, you know, when you factor in the amulet. So I'm like, great, let's go for it. I would say, you know, it depends. If your team needs it, definitely put her in Cursed and still give her some damage. Like, I saw that was the build that Nubs was looking at, that he'd put his in yesterday, and he did well with her. So she can definitely fill that slot of, you know, being your Hex champ. I really want to try and include sort of a Mishinaki in one of my teams, because I've got 2 of them, frankly, and I'm not using one on Nightmare. So I wanted to make sure that I could run a Mishinaki in one of those teams. So I'm kind of good for Hex. So yeah, which is why I went for the sort of I went for the build that I thought would be most versatile for whatever team I land up using her in. So let's just cut over to my notes. Okay. Sorry, that's the wrong one. So this is where, you know, I am at the moment. I'm looking at my Nightmare team options. Apologies, that is not that big. So I'm sort of looking at, okay, who do I want to bring into this Nightmare team? This is the team that I showcased with Nubs. Felt like Uko was kind of a weak link in there, and I wasn't using my 6-star Taras or my Duchess. So, you know, we try. I'm still testing out. Val is one of the ones that I rebuilt yesterday into Merciless. So I'm still testing out these teams, which is why I don't know who's going to be available. I don't know if Duchess is going into this Nightmare team. I don't know if Taras is going into this Nightmare team. So, and, you know, it's a shame to lose the amazing synergy of the Shamail and the Garrel for turn meter boosting. So that's still in flux. So I was looking at, okay, like what are my team options, you know, depending on where I land. So I was looking at a few different options, and then I tested out a few of them yesterday. So just in terms of results, so let's go and let's just quickly go and take a look at her actual damage. I did have some numbers on this yesterday, but let's just go and run it. So we're taking her into Brutal. Which was my favourite... Oh, sorry, you guys can't see that. Which was my favourite team from yesterday? I think I'll go with the original team, which was... not this one, it was with Morley instead of Soulless. So let's grab the Morley again. Weirdly, the damage went down when I put Soulless in, so I sort of went, I need a Mischief Tank and Provoker, but let's bring in Soulless so that he brings in a bit more damage. So sorry, we didn't talk about her stats, did we? So let's do that here while she's got the Hydra bonuses on. So this is where I ended up just short of 5k attack. I wanted to make sure that she had over 50k HP and over 3k defense. 255 speed, I wanted her sort of over 250, and then she's got 250 crit damage and 337 accuracy. So, all right, fine for brutal. I probably like the accuracy a tiny bit higher. I tend to like sort of 350 for Hydra, but it works, so we'll stick with it. Just make sure everyone's presets are up properly. Yep. Cool. So, this is the team I ran. So we've got Duchess for the Veil, Taras for damage and to extend that Veil, Mishinaki just bringing us all the usual debuffs, decrease attack, decrease defense, Hex. She's bringing us the increase and decrease speed and the weaken, so she's a really nice pairing there. Morley's our Mischief Tank and Provoker. She can revive, which is why, you know, this team almost, you don't need the Duchess, but then if you don't need the Duchess, then who do you replace her with? Because the Taras needs the buffs to do all of his damage, so yeah. I need to replace her with somebody, you know, who can bring plenty of buffs, but then I also need to bring a Shamail into the team to get around Head of Torment. So we'll stick with it like this for now. It'll be fine for us looking at how her damage is. So, you know, I would say decent, but not crazy on her damage on the whole. So there she is. She's bringing in her buffs. I don't know why. Okay, that Mishinaki must just be slow then. I'll have a look if I need to speed him up. So we'll just keep smacking this head until we get a I guess, or any head. Whoever goes down first is fine. Just looking to get a head down so that we can take a look at her damage compared to some of the other damage dealers in the team. Come on, who's going to go down first? I think it's you, Mischief. Sorry, dude. You know, she's just, as soon as that Mischief head goes, yeah, great, provoked, thanks. Right. It's like, come on, we need to get some uptime on these heads. All right, so let's cheat and we'll just put a Wukong in there now. There's nothing on here. So we'll do a Wukong A1, 200k. And then we'll compare her. Wukong did have increased attack up, so that's fine. So we can buff up without any worries. I'm not going to use the decreased defense just so that we've got a like for like to compare. Okay, I would like to use that, but for now I'm going to do the A1. 350k. So, I mean, it's never going to compare to like a Taras because, you know, Taras is Taras. And also she just hit, so she just reduced the defense of the head. I mean, if we were to compare, the Taras is 230 and 160. So what I should have done is talked about masteries. We'll talk about that later. So now, you know, if we take a Wukong nuke, then that's 700k. Obviously, she's not going to compete with that with her A1, but 350k is more than the Wukong A1. And of course we don't land a decreased defense, which is typical. Let's just see if we can just nuke somebody else down. Okay. So now we'll just go all in. And I would say this is where she's sort of landing for me, is her A1 is doing more, well, she's coming out about equal with like a Wukong in this team. Every time I've run it, she's been about the same damage as Wukong. Let's just, again, that's not a fair comparison, so we'll just go, she's got increased attack, there's no decreased defense, that was 190k, and let's see what the Wukong is. $200. So about the same. And I would say that's about where it lands. So let's just back out of this fight for a sec. Go back to champs. Just for comparison, this is my Wukong. He's kind of a hybrid Wukong. Yeah, he's in a higher damage build. Similar levels of attack, so not crazy amounts of attack on him. But still, you know, he's decent. Yeah, 180. And he is in Savage, so, you know, she's hitting about the same as Wukong. And I should point out, where's Wukong gone? Here. So Wukong is on Helm Smasher. I did have her on War Master yesterday when I was testing her on some of on the first time I tested her, and then I rebuilt her into Helm Smasher. And this is sort of the I'm in the way, aren't I? Ooh, there you go. Helm Smasher. This is the way I would go, just in terms of the, you could drop something like Rapid Response if you really wanted to pick up these damage masteries over here. Could be worth it. Because, this one is a waste. The Shield Breaker is a waste. So you could give up Rapid Response and then you could pick up these 2 damage masteries over here, which might be worth it. Yeah. So let's go and have a look at how she actually performed in some of the teams. Here we go. So this is my spoiler from earlier. This is my Brutal team. This is the first time I ran it, and it reached turn limit, which I don't usually reach on Brutal, just being totally honest. And yes, so she was 64 million. I think this one was when she actually had the War Master. And Wukong was 65 million. So obviously Mishnaki and Tarash, she's never going to touch. But as a support champ, a speed champ, who's then bringing in, like a Wukong, I bring a Wukong into a team. If I've got all the debuffs I need covered, so I don't need an Ugo, I just bring a Wukong in if I've got increased attack and I need block buffs. So we then sort of mixed it up, and we brought in the Rathalos Blade Master and the Sisia to enable him. Very similar damage, so yeah, that one was 475. This one was 500. Again, we reached turn limit, and she actually outdamaged the Wukong in that fight. Probably just luck, or this is probably actually also where she's got Helm Smasher, so I wonder if on the next one she outdamages him. Yeah, the Rathalos Blade Master and the Sisia, but we've lost the consistency on the provoke here, so there'll be cleanses going off on this one. The next one we didn't make turn limit, but we hit similar sorts of numbers. We're always around the sort of 480 to 500. This is the one where we switched out that Morley for the Soulless. Damage went down, her damage went down, but again, she's about equal with Wukong. Again, my Wukong's not crazy. He's not a damage Wukong. He's a hybrid, but he's still got 280 crit damage and over 5k attack. So, and this was an absolute fail of a run yesterday. It just did not go well. This was again just mixing it up, trying the Ugo with the Blade Master and the Sisia didn't go well, which is when we then switched it up to this team with the Wukong instead, which was much more reliable. Yeah, so that's, and yeah, with the Sisia for the decreased defense and weaken and HP burn. Yeah, so that's anyway, that's her stats. That's where I ended up with her. So that's where mine is, Eostrid. She is way better than I thought she was going to be, because I was like, she's just going to be a better speed champ than I've got on my account right now for my Brutal team. For my Nightmare team, I'm like, I've got Pardrake plus Archer. That's increase and decrease speed in 2 champs that are brilliant. And I thought, yeah, she's going to be a decent increase, decrease speed champ, but actually she's been really good, because being able to bring those and the other debuffs that she brings, plus damage, if you need Cursed or you need Provoke, or you can get 9-piece protection, she's going to be even more valuable. So I would say, yeah, the general build that I would go with is put some damage on her and put her in one of those sets if you need it in your team. If you don't, Merciless, decreasing those cooldowns and the ignore defense is brilliant. If you've got spare lying around, it doesn't have to be your craziest. Mine is absolutely in crit rate gloves. Yeah, she's in crit rate gloves, and then she's just got some decent substats on the other pieces. I went through loads of different builds. Like I say, I built other champs first so that she was stealing like my tier 4 or tier 5 Merciless gear. Because yeah, I didn't want to waste that on her. But yeah, she's working really well with it and performing really well. So interested to hear how you guys end up building her. Thanks all. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.